Let's raise the big question. We have been focusing on the issue of COVID violations for months now. Who takes the blame? Has the reopening of bars in a way weakened the COVID fight? Could they become spreaders again as bars open up? Is there a need for stiffer penalties against bars, restaurants, pubs that violate the rules when it comes to COVID-19 protocols? Vishwajit Rane is Goa's health minister. He joins me. Dr. Romel Tikku is Associate Director, Internal Medicine at Max Healthcare. Raghav Chadda is the AAP MLA and Rakshay Dhariwal is MD Passcode Hospitality. They run various pubs and restaurants. Appreciate all of you joining us. I want to come to the Health Minister of Goa, Vishwajit Rane, first, because we've seen some of the most popular nightclubs in Goa this weekend having all-night parties with no rules being followed. I have all the videos, in fact, on my mobile. I'll play some of them. You tell us, what is the Goa government going to do? Can you shut down these pubs or will you just give them a light warning now?
Hi, Rajdeep. I saw those videos that have gone viral, and you yourself mentioned today on the channel, and also the doctor in America who was saying that these are the ideal places for the community transmission to take place. After seeing these videos, and people have been flaunting these videos on their respective Instagrams of these clubs, and after checking all the facts and getting the footages from these clubs, we found that there was no social distancing or any sort of activity that was mentioned in the SOP being followed. I can assure you on your channel, Rajdeep, is that we have already started acting. I've had a detailed conversation with the Collector North and also the Chief Minister, who has assured that the Home Department will step in. And if required, I think the Excise Commissioner, I think our Health Secretary has already been asked to speak to the Excise Commissioner, that people, since there's a Pandemic Act in place, and also we have got the Disaster Management Act in play, it is very important for us, Rajdeep. I've got serious messages from doctors who are saying that we are working so hard, we are getting infected, we are trying to save the lives of the young generation, and this is not acceptable to us because these people are just going on, and this is going to become the main focal point for community transmission.
Mr. Rane, you're saying it's not acceptable, but the fact is these are the biggest nightclubs in Goa. These are not some small shacks where this is happening. These are the most prominent nightclubs with hundreds of people coming, and this is the start of the tourist season. Now, there are those who believe that the only way to attract tourists to Goa is to allow the opening up of Goa, whether it is nightclubs or whether it's the casinos. So how are you going to sort of balance the lives versus livelihood argument? Because people are going to say, please open up. Otherwise, why will we come to Goa?
No, as far as what you just mentioned, Rajdeep, we are going to act very aggressively as far as these nightclubs are concerned. I know they are very prominent nightclubs. And I have also gone on record today on all the newspapers saying that the government is going to act. If required, we are going to suspend the excise licenses. And even the FDA is going to act. Today, the FDA has raided most of the places to check on various. So there are multiple ways in which the government can deal with this situation. But definitely, we do not want COVID to once again the numbers to rise in the state of Goa. With great difficulty, we have brought it below 200 after a long span of time, and also our mortality has come down. We definitely do not want community transmission and these to become the hubs of community transmission. I, on your channel, for one, can assure you that with the support of the Chief Minister, we will put these clubs to rest if they do not fall in line with the respective SOPs that are in place, irrespective of who backs them.
I am told by sources in Goa that many of these nightclub owners are hand in glove with the local police and the local MLAs and administrators. So how are you going to break this nexus? I repeat, we are entering the tourist season. Hundreds of people will come to Goa and will want to enjoy and party. You see, this image of Goa as a party town is driving people from Bengaluru, Pune, Mumbai to Goa. Now, if you are you going to seriously clamp down on that, which will prevent tourists from coming to Goa?
Rajdeep, actually, in case if we as a government, if we want to keep Goa safe, then we have to ensure that the SOPs are strictly followed. We do understand that November, December, January, February, and now after everything opening up, then people are going to come in. Already there are a large number of people coming from the neighboring states into Goa. But actually what did we see in the videos is something really very shocking. I assure you, Rajdeep, that there are multiple ways of dealing with these clubs and multiple ways of putting things in place. We want tourism. We want people to come in. But same time, we have a pandemic on. We have cases on the rise, and same time we are working overtime to see that we are able to save the lives of the people.
No, but why, sir, I'm sorry to persist. Why did the police not raid these pubs on Saturday night and Sunday night? Everyone in Goa was aware of what was happening. You did not. Why did the police not raid any of these pubs?
I have taken up the issue today itself with the collector, who has assured me that this is not going to be repeated. I myself have also gone on record and spoken to the club owners to say that every kind of license that they have obtained, basically it's the excise licenses in these clubs generally attracts the younger generation to them. And also from the FDA point of view, that since we have got an epidemic act in place, we will go ahead and cancel their licenses if this is repeated.
Okay.
The Chief Minister is also on record on your channel who has said that he will ensure that the SOPs are strictly followed, and we are going to do that, Rajdeep.
Okay,
I
so
know that this is a lapse.
telling me that
me
you
being
will
a minister in the government, I cannot move away and say that this is not, I mean, it's somebody else's responsibility. But as a health minister and the work that is being put in by the government under the Chief Minister and all of us and the doctors who are really upset looking at these type of videos, because this is only going to lead to community transmission in a bigger way.
Okay.
But we will act, and this is not going to be repeated, I can assure you. I have myself taken the liberty to speak to all the club owners, and I'm going to also call a meeting of all the club owners to say that if tourism has to sustain in the state of Goa, Rajdeep, then we all need to be on the same page. Otherwise, this is going to only be a spell doom for the state of Goa. Leave aside life and livelihood. Tourism is not going to thrive if we do not have SOPs in place.
Okay, those are strong words from you that you will cancel the licenses. Raghav Chadda, Delhi National Capital, that's where our investigation started. We are seeing number of pubs and restaurants opening up in the last 2 weeks, but many of them not following COVID-19 guidelines. Are you also going to act, or are you also going to simply give me a response that we will see what should be done?
No, absolutely, Mr. Sardesai. We will act, and I congratulate you and your fantastic team that has done this investigation. I give you my word that the SDMs as well as the local police officers who are tasked with the responsibility of enforcing all standard operating procedures, protocols, etc., will swing into action immediately. And no non-compliance, no disregard for the protocols, the COVID-19 protocols, as well as SOPs issued by the government of Delhi will be tolerated at any cost. The government of Delhi, Mr. Sardesai, took a very calculated decision.
Sorry to intervene. Do the local policemen know about these protocols? Because surely if our team has gone and investigated what is happening there, surely the police also knows. The fear, whether it's in Goa or Delhi, is that local policemen are hand in glove with many of the pub owners.
And let me tell you, if they are, and I'm not ruling that out at all, if they are, then of course strictest possible action will be taken. And I don't think any government, as you know, police reports to the union government, but I'm very sure that the union government is also on the same page as us. We, all of us, took a very calculated decision to resume socio-economic activity. We tried to strike a very fine balance between protecting health of people, the lives of people, as well as their livelihoods, the economic activity, the social activity, as well as protecting their health. Now, if at all there are people who are violating, as you have demonstrated on your channel, then let me assure you that the strictest possible action will be taken. Across the globe, restaurants have opened. Countries like Japan, countries like Australia, Singapore have opened. In fact, Hong Kong has even opened swimming pools and convention centers. So therefore, what the world teaches us is that if you open bars, restaurants, convention centers, etc., and you do follow the SOPs and the protocols, these will not turn into hotspots, and the rate of transmission will remain unaffected. So therefore, what we really require is strict enforcement. And if strict enforcement is done, if
so it's
these
not
SOPs
happening.
are complied with,
Mr. Chadda, it's not happening at the moment.
Well, let me, Mr. Sardesai, I would like to believe that this is the exception to the rule. I would like to believe that, yes, there have been certain violations done by certain entities and certain establishments, and strictest possible action will be taken.
Okay.
And if there is a rampant violation and a complete disregard across the board for all SOPs issued by the government, then of course the government will revisit the whole plan. But let me tell you that now that you brought this to our notice, government has swung into action. We will be asking our SDMs as well as the local Delhi police officers to take initiate appropriate action.
Okay, so, in that sense, I'm glad to know that both Goa and Delhi is promising action, but is that enough? Rakshat Dhariwal, MD Passcode Hospitality, is what we've shown the exception or the rule? I want an honest answer. Is it true that many pub owners, especially who want to attract clientele after 6 months, need to, in a way, are they really following the COVID-19 protocol, or are they simply encouraging people to come in?
It's actually a question of morality. And I think everyone knows the gravity of the situation right now. and for club owners to engage in this sort of non-compliance, it's extremely immoral, and frankly, I think it's rather disgusting.
But is it the exception? Is it, to your mind, Raksha, is it the exception or the rule? Let's be honest with me.
It's actually the exception. On the most part, what I've heard, it's not too many places are doing this. The people who are, well, and they really think about the doctors of the country. Look at all the hard work that everyone is doing to try to curb this, and then for people for economic benefit, it's quite disgusting.
So you're claiming it's the exception, but either way, Dr. Romel Tikku, do you fear that as pubs and restaurants open, as the festive season starts, as people after 6 months of being locked in their homes want to go out, travel to Goa, travel to places where they can party, as party season begins, do you fear that these places could become hotspots, Dr. Tikku?
Yes, I think so. It's a huge challenge for them to follow SOPs in these pubs and bars. See, economy has to open up. Life has to go on. It's not only about economy, it's about survival now. But the government has laid down the SOPs. It's for the owners to follow it. We as citizens also have to pitch in. It's our time to play our part now. So all of us, whoever frequent these places, have to follow the norms and the advisories. Because if we don't do that, then we are heading for a potential health disaster. You see, in North India or in Delhi, the pollution levels are already spiking. And the winter setting in, you know how these viral respiratory infections spread in winter. So we can have an exponential rise in the number of COVID cases, apart from the flu which we have in winter, which can actually cripple our healthcare system.
Is there an ideal number, Mr. Tikku, that you think a pub or a restaurant should have? Should they be at 50% as per the guidelines?
Yes, I think so. 50% of their seating capacity is good enough. But apart from that, they also have to make sure that frequent sanitization is happening. The staff is trained well. They have these hand washes and all in place, and social distancing, distance between the tables is maintained. I don't know how far that is possible. It's a huge challenge in these bars and pubs. We know the COVID fatigue has set in. People just want to go out and let their hair down. You want to have a cup of coffee. You want to have a drink. But having said that, you just have to follow the norms, the advisories.
The problem is, of course, the problem is, of course, following those norms. Very quickly, Rakshay Dhariwal, I mean, is it true that most restaurateurs or pub owners, will they follow this 50% norm? I mean, the fact is, within a pub, it's a closed area. As people start coming in, will the person at the gate, he didn't tell our reporters, but will he tell reporters after seeing this, look, once you've crossed the 50% mark, no one else is allowed?
I wish that was practiced a little bit more strictly by my fraternity. And to be honest, the guidelines that have been set forth by the Delhi government are extremely smart. And, the 50% capacity, hand sanitizers on arrival, gloves, face masks for staff, constant checking of the staff's temperature, making sure that every guest that enters is thermal scanned. These are all very smart measures. And if they are adhered to, we should not have any outbreaks. We should not have any problems. It's just that everyone is economically so bad by this situation, and there is this inherent pent-up demand for to go out. So I just wish that everyone was just a little bit more pragmatic and safe about the whole situation. That is what's required. We have to think about morals and ethics in a time like this.
We'll all get through it. But when I look at Goa, for example,
and that is paramount.
I take your point, Rakshay, but I want to ask you this, Vishwajit. The fact is that Goa has gone through it. There are two industries that drive Goa: tourism and mining. Mining has been more or less shut. Tourism has suffered a huge blow. Is that the pressure which is now leading to all the prominent nightclubs of Goa saying, forget COVID protocols, we are going to get as many guests as we can, we need to make as much money as we can in the next 3 months? Is that the overall mindset? How are you going to break that mindset? People want to make, it appears the pub owners, the nightclub owners in a place like Goa want to make a quick buck in the next 3 months.
Rajdeep, nightclub success is not the tourism story of Goa. And most importantly, tourism also can be means restaurants, hotels, all of them doing well, maintaining the social distancing and SOPs that I mentioned just now. The doctor Tiku on your channel mentioned that if proper care is not taken, these cases can rise exponentially. Just nightclubs are just a handful of nightclubs that exist on the coastal belt. And that does not mean that's the tourism of Goa. We can actually achieve our revenue targets in spite of the pandemic. Slowly, it is gradually coming up. People are coming into Goa. Things are opening up. But then we need to ensure that these clubs are put, like somebody just mentioned on the channel, that it is the onus is also on the person who owns the club and also the individual who's going to the club, educated people. Ultimately, I find that the poor man in the village, he is following all the rules, wearing all the masks, but we find the educated people going and flaunting all the rules that have been mentioned in the SOPs. And the onus, I do agree, is on the government. But same time, it's also on the people who run the clubs and also the people who go there to the clubs, because these are educated people who are going there. I can assure you, Rajdeep, is that we will take all precautions and care, because nightclubs don't run and drive the tourism as far as Goa is concerned. We have several other ways in which we can increase the revenue as far as tourism is concerned.
You made a good point. It's the educated who are often flouting the guidelines. The final point, Raghav, I saw you raise your finger very quickly.
Well, Mr. Sardesai, all I wanted to say that it would be incorrect on our part to paint the entire hospitality sector or the entire restaurant industry with the same brush. Resumption of socio-economic activity is the need of the hour, but at the same time, we need to practice responsibility and discipline. Responsibility and discipline needs to be practiced by those who visit these bars and restaurants, by those who administer and run these bars and restaurants, and by the enforcement agencies. These three important stakeholders in this entire gamut need to actually, comply with the instructions and guidelines issued by the government, and any non-compliance on part of any of them would cause havoc. And therefore, through your channel, I do urge people, as well as restaurateurs, those who own the restaurants, etc., that while we understand that lockdown fatigue as well as this COVID sense of weariness is sort of, taken the better of us, we now really need to realize that following and complying with what has been notified by the government is in your best interest and in the interest of your family.
Let's leave it there. We'll continue to follow up this story. We'll go back to Goa and Delhi in a week or so to find out whether the pubs and nightclubs are following the COVID-19 guidelines. Our aim, once again, is to put safety and health at the top of the agenda. This is a time where you need to focus on public health above all else. I appreciate my panelists joining us here on our top talking point, simply as another wake-up call in our continuing campaign on COVID-19. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.